When can we expect the altcoin market to make a new all-time high like Bitcoin already did? And how fast can it go from there? I want to look at the last cycle because so far it is scary how much it's the same compared to the last cycle. So there's a very good chance that it does kind of the same for the coming couple of months. And if that happens, you might be in a good mood after this video. So welcome to the Fomo Factory. If you want to like the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and let's get right into it, man. I will try to be here as often as possible because I think that we went through the bear market and the boring market all together, and now we deserve the upside. And you'll notice around you probably that a lot of people are giving up, right? They're saying, it's not coming back and it's dead and da 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 da. And of course, it isn't, right? But it says like, hey, it's a hard market for people right now. However, crypto and especially the altcoin market, 3 out of the 4 years, it's not really worth it that much. Okay, so therefore, people might have expectations of a market that goes up forever. Well, it actually doesn't, right? But now we are at the stage where it does. After a 3 year period where it didn't, so people might not believe in it anymore. If you still believe, let me know down below. Just tell me, I believe, I believe, I believe. I want to hear you say that you believe. So to jump right into it, and I want to go over some altcoins as well in this video, but to go into it, look, the altcoin market now, this is others, right? So this everything outside of the top 10 and inside the top 125, by the way. But the altcoin market right now, it's not at its all-time high. And if you look at Bitcoin, then yeah, Bitcoin is way above its previous all-time high, right? That's normal. Some people say like, "Wow, that's like terrible and it's broken." And again, every cycle so far, Bitcoin first made a new all-time high, and it basically had to double from its previous all-time high before altcoins even start making a new one, right? So it's not weird or different or whatever that the altcoin market is still lagging, right? There's a money flow, Bitcoin, high caps, low caps. And that's exactly the phase where we are in right now. So, if we look at the previous cycle, what I think is pretty interesting actually is how much this is the same. And I've showed you a couple times for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is following exactly what it did in the last two cycles. So we can pretty much safely say that Bitcoin is going way higher and that the Bitcoin bull market, in my opinion, is far from over time wise, but especially price wise. However, for the altcoin market, I don't expect much different, and these gains are way more explosive, of course, right? Because at a certain point at this stage of the cycle, we usually also see people putting money from Bitcoin into the altcoin market, and then you'll see the Bitcoin dominance go down. Then you'll see that the altcoins on their Bitcoin pair are really going up, and that's what we call an alt season. Yeah, and it's kind of what we are already seeing actually, right? But it's not like explosive from day one. Like this is on the weekly chart right here. This took like months to play out from end of 2020 to end of 2021, right? So such an alt season takes a whole year based on history. This alt season here as well. So yeah, that you're not seeing the gains that you were hoping for in the first couple of weeks, it's normal, right? But that's what I'm expecting for this year once again. Now, what's kind of the same this time again is that we had this mid-cycle rally until March, basically, right? And then we came down. Now, if you look at the last cycle, we also had a mid-cycle rally until February, March 2020, so exactly 4 years earlier, right? And then we came down. Now, here it was because of COVID. Here it was because of whatever. But at the end of the day, it did exactly follow the cycle, right? And that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing. It's actually somewhat predictable when it comes to that. Now, what's cool is that after this crash that we had right here, this is safe to call a crash, right? We went up, we slowly grind up, and started to approach the previous all-time high. Same as what we are doing over here. Now, what I think is pretty cool is that if you look where we are right now, it's the first week of January 2021, right? So if you look at the first week of January 2025, if you look at the first week of January 2021, where were we? That was here, right? This candle right here. Sorry, yeah, this candle. So it depends on where you take it from, right? But if you look and measure this to the previous all-time high, this right here, you can see that it still had around, like, yeah, it depends from where I take the candle, but around 30% to go to get to its previous all-time high. What's interesting, in my opinion, is that if we look where we are right now and we look at the previous all-time high, we still have 30% to go. So the mid-cycle rally was the same. The crash that followed was the same. The run-up was the same. The time that we are in right now compared to the amount of percentages that we need to get back to the all-time high is the same. So that's it may be a coincidence, but I think it's more than a coincidence in this case. I think that there are, trends and patterns in this, of course. Now, if you look what happened in the last cycle after Bitcoin broke its all-time high, let me make that line green, right? That's from where altcoins made their all-time high, right? Once we broke this, it was pretty much like, vertical for the altcoin market. And again, I'm not saying that we will get the same, but it's something to consider. I mean, everything else was the same, right? So it was pretty much vertical. From the moment it broke its all-time high, it took about 105 days, so 3 months, to go on a parabolic run of around, almost 400%. Right, that's 5x, give or take. And that's not like, for the people that are expecting 20x's on their altcoins, I guess that you are then in more risky altcoins outside of the top 125, right? Then the gains are potentially bigger, right? The risk as well. But overall, 4.5, 5x on the general altcoin market, these numbers are crazy, right? That's absolutely insane. Now, these returns will diminish probably, right? But still, that is pretty crazy. And if we look at the all-time high, that was 536%. Right now, if we break the previous all-time high and we go up 536%, it will take us to around $3 trillion. Now, that happens to be where I have my target, actually, by the way, for the altcoin market. However, returns are diminishing, so it might not completely get there. Then again, there is really a lot of liquidity in Bitcoin, and sometimes get the question like, yeah, but these ETFs are not going to go into altcoins, right? Well, maybe they do, but even if they don't, like, ETFs don't make up for that much Bitcoin in the market. Most is still in hands of retail, and yeah, that of course flows to the altcoin market. But we don't need a lot of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is now just freaking expensive. And by the time we get here, maybe even way more expensive. So we don't need a lot of Bitcoin like the last cycle to flow into the altcoin market to see these gains in the first place. So again, back to last cycle. From this point now, at the moment of recording, 6th of January, how long did it take for the altcoin market to make a new all-time high? Not that long, actually. If you go to the 6th of January, then that was here, right? And the altcoin market started to break its previous all-time high after 23 days. So basically the end of January, right? So it is a possibility that, again, we, like, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. You know what they say, right? But I like the rhyme, really. That's pretty okay for me. Like, hey, if it happens mid-February or end of February or now, right? Like, that's a month difference. In a 4-year cycle, that's close enough for me to say that that's a cyclical move. And yeah, just thinking that, oh, this time it won't happen, has so far in this market never really worked out for anybody, right? So be prepared for the fact that something similar might happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's mainly because of the fact that I do think that Bitcoin will make way more new highs in this year. But even without that, it's just basically a matter of the Bitcoin money, again, flowing into the altcoin market. Now, is that unlikely? Again, not really. If you look at altcoins on the Bitcoin pair, which we just saw, you can see that they bounced off of this trend line at the end of the halving year, like here and like here, and that got followed both by an insane alt season. But from the moment it bounced, we don't automatically see the top, right? Again, that took a year, right? And we are now like, what is it, 2 months in, basically. Yeah, it's completely normal that it doesn't happen overnight, right? If we look at the Bitcoin dominance, again, I've said this before, but it looks toppy, right? Like it looks toppy. We had an insane run on the Bitcoin dominance, but at the 618, if you around the 618, slightly higher, but if you look at the 618, right, that's where we got rejected. We never got a weekly closure above the 618, right? And that's where we got rejected this time. And why does it matter? Well, one, the 618 is just a very big level for something like this. Two, also, if you look at the last cycle, 618 is exactly where it got rejected before it went into straight full-blown alt season, right? So that looks like it's kind of repeating again. Plus, for the first time in like this run, basically, we have made a very clear high and followed by a lower high, right? So we'll see. Like, is this going to be a low and followed up by a lower low, and then eventually a big breakdown? Could definitely happen. That's what we want to see, right? We want to see the Bitcoin dominance go down. We want to see the Bitcoin dominance without stable coins go down, right? Because yeah, what good is the Bitcoin dominance going down? Because the money from Bitcoin flows into USDT, right? We want to see it flow into altcoins. So therefore, it's better to look at this chart. Now, this chart looks like it's just having a bad time right now, right? We were in this rising wedge, which are notorious for breaking down in the first place. We broke out of it, retested, got rejected right there. And now we have some horizontal support right here, but I think that once we break that, we can see a good downtrend. Plus, the bull market support band is, it's now the enemy, basically. So that's all really, really, really bullish for altcoins, actually. If you look at others' dominance, so the altcoin market dominance, I've drawn this out so long ago, and I'm going to let this line be here. But this is basically showing like, hey, is it alt season or is it Bitcoin season, right? And if this chart goes up, then it's alt season. If it goes down, it's Bitcoin season. And I don't know, I learned to not overcomplicate things. You can look at the best people with the best TA. Then again, maybe we should not make it too hard on ourselves and just look like, hey, what's cyclical and what's a trend, right? Cyclical, we have seen it, like alt season, that's the post-halving year, has never not been alt season. Plus the trend, hey, in this case, we go to the upside in the post-halving year, 2017, we went there, right? Then we go all the way down. That's why altcoins get wrecked. Then we go to the upside again in 2021, twice. Then we go all the way down, right? Here we have a bottom, here we have a bottom. Here we have a bottom, here we have a bottom. We bounced off of that. So that shows that this parallel channel is still intact. So if it's still intact, it's a very good bet to take that you can say that it goes to the upside again. And even if we don't fully go there, man, even close to it is going to be sick for altcoins. Really, really sick. Even the mid-range is going to create millionaires, right? And not the people that now already have 900K. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And if you look like, hey, am I too late with altcoins? Look, I mean, we are closer to the bottom than the top. So not really. Actually, you are pretty much nailing the bottom if you're now buying altcoins, actually. So looks fantastic. It looks very strong to me. The S&P is also something we should follow a little bit, of course, right? I mean, the macro is kind of leading all of this. Yeah, and if you look at the S&P, every time it's in a fucking raging uptrend, right? And you can say like, well, it's already at its high, so watch out. then again, if you look at the beginning of 2021, also at a high, right? Like that was an all-time high as well here, January 2021. But yet it still had a lot of upside to go, right? So the all-time highs can last for a long time. And every time it does come down, you'll see that the bull market support band, we had a wick below it, but we went above it right away. The bull market support band comes in every single time, and that just happened. So the S&P still looks healthy in a very big uptrend. Everything just looks good right now, right? Especially for the higher risk assets like crypto, and within crypto, the higher risk assets like altcoins. So that's looking fantastic, really. It's really looking good. Then my altcoin bags are pretty much unchanged. I have some gaming, I have some AI, I have 4 or 5 small positions in meme coins. I have a lot of launch pads. I have some layer ones and some DeFi. I just want to spread my bags, man. And to be honest, guys, in a bull market, of course, one thing goes up harder than the other. But if you understand which stage of the cycle we are in, then it doesn't really matter what you buy as long as you know what type of asset you have to have exposure to in what stage of the market, right? So, for example, in the bear market, be out. A lot of people make that mistake already. They just be in the bear market. No, be out, right? The year after that, and even the year after that, right? The pre and the halving year, don't be in altcoins. And then the post-halving year, that's the altcoin year. And everything moons, everything kind of tops out at around the same time. So does it really matter much? Yeah. Again, one goes up harder than the other. But overall, I feel like, man, if you have a solid bag of altcoins, you're going to make money anyway, right? And look, I mean, you can just look at your altcoins and be like, I'm going to go with the strongest, right? Altora is an outperformer. Superverse is an outperformer. Solana was an outperformer. It's now actually an underperformer. And therefore, I mean Solana on its Bitcoin pair, right? So if people now feel like, what? What are you talking about? You high? Crazy Dutch dude? Yes, but no, I'm not high. But if you look at Solana on its Bitcoin pair, broke down. We'll see, right? We'll see. Then again, like it's not a bad project or anything, definitely not. But just look at the outperformers. Prime in its gaming niche. People say, "Oh, gaming is dead." Then why has this thing been mooning since all the other altcoins were bleeding? Like you have to know a little bit what you invest in, of course. But SPX, meme coin, one of my fewer meme coins and my highest meme coin back, completely outperformer. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. So that's what I'm currently looking at. Just the outperformers and go with that a little bit. Launchpads will heavily outperform next year. I'm pretty sure of that. People want to get into new projects. They look at ChainGPT. They look at Seedify. They look at Decubate. These are some really strong bets to give you a lot of exposure to the rest of the market while being in one coin, basically. So that's currently what I'm looking at. And I'm going to just keep DCAing into these positions, right? I have my pre-sale bags. I make money with me. My biggest money maker, money making strategy is basically invest in pre-sales, right? Take that money out over time. So I'm not holding any of these tokens if I don't have to, right? So I'm putting my money out of it, and I am putting it back into my spot bags, right? And why is that? Well, it's because these projects have a lot of vesting, and I'm not the only one dumping, right? So I rather take a lot of money out of micro GPT that I made a 15-20x on and put it into a Seedify, for example, that barely has 40% inflation for the rest of its existence. So that's my strategy right now. I think you cannot go wrong by holding great quality altcoins for the rest of the year. And we'll have to see how the year progresses, right? Like my main thesis is still, hey, end of the year, bull market is ending. Yeah, if there are signs that it will end earlier, we have to get out earlier at least, right? Of course. nevertheless, if you don't want to overcomplicate things and don't like try to time any dips that you may or may not get, I would just say like, fuck it, it's the alt season year, right? Who cares if you buy the low or a little lower, or that you buy high or not lower than the low or a little higher, right? And that it then goes lower and then up again. Like, this is not the time to update your portfolio every half an hour or every day. Just see it as a long-term thing right now for the rest of the year, and I think you will do perfect. Um, Shout out to the people in the Fomo Factory. We got a great allocation in the Xyro private sale, AI project, and Mind AI agent project. And there are more coming. So if you feel like you want to have exposure to new private sales with high allocation, you can check out the link down below. There's the Alpha Factory. Join us. A lot of stuff there, exclusive videos, my portfolio updates, etc., etc. Other than that, not much for today, guys. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. If you want to like the video, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn the bell notification on. Don't forget that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.